Hi, I'm Mike Heidebrink, president of Cheng Concrete, here for Concrete Network. This is our outdoor living series made from Cheng DFRC. Let's get to work and see how these things are made. We're going to start working on our fire cube, but before we do, I want to go over a couple of the elements that we've already built prior to this point. And let's start off by talking about the knockout that I've got here. What this is basically a curved radius that is going to form the interior shape of our fire cube. The way that we built this is basically using a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood that we've gone ahead and cut to create the shape of this knockout. But you can see here a couple layers that are laminated to this radius. What these are made up of are a couple items that I want to talk to you about. One is this flexible material called wiggle board. It's basically a plywood that is designed to allow us to create a curve, and we place this right over that radius, and it's screwed into position, and that shapes or creates a shape to the form that we've already cut on this 3/4 inch plywood. Next, since I don't want to cast against something this rough, I want to line this surface with a material that I can cast my concrete against. And in this case, we're just going to use this kind of satin finish laminate that we then laminate to the surface. And that creates a nice waterproof casting surface that we can pour concrete against or cast our material against. So when we're all done, we end up with a knockout that looks like this. To show you the back side of this, I want to point out that we've placed some ribs, basically, that separate the lower 3/4 inch sheet of plywood from the upper 3/4 inch sheet. And this gives us our depth. So if I was maybe making a 24 inch deep cylinder, these ribs that are back in here would be much longer than they are here. For this project, this entire box is only 15 inches high. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a second, and I want to talk a little bit about the base. The base that we've got here is actually a sheet of melamine. Working with melamine makes the project go a lot easier because we don't have to worry about sealing the surface of the wood. In this case, it's already got a plastic coating to it. I've traced out where we're going to place our knockout. And to mount the knockout, we're basically going to slide it into position, line it up just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and screw this knockout to the base using a screw gun. Okay, this is step 2 in making our fire cube form. Earlier we made this knockout and we've attached the knockout to our mold base. The next thing we're going to move on to are the walls. So we want to form up the exterior shape of the fire cube, and for that we've gone ahead and pre-cut our wall sections. This is just, once again, 3/4 inch melamine that we've cut on our table saw. A circle saw would do the same job. You'll notice there's a lot of holes already in here. That's because we've already used this mold 2 times. This is going to be the 3rd time that we've cast into this same mold. To place our back wall here, I'm just going to position this so that the edge of my wall is in line with the base of my form. I'm going to just screw this in to hold it into position. I'm now going to move on to place my sidewall, which is going to go like this. I'm going to position this so you can see this a little better. Okay, and you can see this kind of gives the general shape. I'm going to go ahead at this point and repeat this sidewall assembly over here on this corner. We've gone ahead now and I've got my sidewalls up and I'm ready to seal the mold to make it watertight. In order to do this, I'm going to use 100% silicone. This is a material that we can get at a local home improvement center, and in this case I'm going to use a black silicone to seal up my mold. The reason I'm using black is I'm using a white laminate material here, and I'll be able to see where I have excess to clean up. We're going to start off just by placing a bead of silicone at all of our horizontal and vertical seams. Now, when we're sealing the seams, we also use the silicone to shape our edges so that in the finished piece of concrete, I don't have to do any sanding or shaping of the edge. I want the silicone to be shaped so nicely that that'll create the finished edge on my finished piece of concrete. In order to do this, I want you to take a look at these. They're a silicone shaping tool. It's basically an acrylic rod that has been beveled and polished on the face. These are available at Cheng Concrete. I've got 3 different sizes here, but for this project I'm going to use this larger one. It's not the largest, but this is about a 3/8 inch rod that I'm going to use to shape the curve or the radius in the form. I'm going to start down here in the corner, and I'm pulling the silicone with this shaping rod. Start down here. I can either wait until the silicone is dried and peel it out later, or if I'm working in my shop, I kind of want to finish this up as quickly as possible, so we'll go ahead and we'll actually clean it up while it's wet using just a razor blade. After I've sealed the entire mold, then we'll be ready to cast into it. I do need to let the silicone dry for about 24 hours or overnight at least before we move on to the next step, which is casting. And there's a couple things I want to point out about this mold that make it different than if we were wet casting. When you're working with the Cheng DFRC, we don't need a lot of excessive bracing on the sides of the mold to contain the concrete. Since all we're going to be doing is spraying the concrete into the mold, we just need to make sure that the walls are straight and vertical so that the material can hang on to the sides when we go ahead and place our concrete. So when you're working with Cheng DFRC, one of the things that you want to remember is that we've really reduced the amount of time that we put into building a mold, as well as reduced the amount of material that we're actually using when we're building the mold. This keeps our labor costs and material costs low. The one main benefit, though, of working with a material like this is we can reuse a mold like this. We're not abusing the mold with heavy vibration or with a lot of reinforcing. We can reuse a mold like this up to 10 times. You can find detailed plans and instructions for this fire cube online. I'm Mike Heidebrink with Cheng Concrete. Thanks for watching.